On a cold street, a little after 6 in the evening, a person stops at a music shop window. The shop closed an hour ago. They are not waiting for it to open. There is one guitar on a stand in the middle of the display. They looked at it yesterday. They looked at it the day before, and tomorrow, on the way home, they will look at it again. They are not saving for it. They could go in the moment the doors open and carry it out. For reasons they could not fully explain, they have decided they will not. This is not quite longing, and it is not quite window shopping. It is closer to visiting. As though the wanting were the thing they had come to keep. And the strange part, the part worth following, is this. On the evening they finally buy it, they will stop coming. Not because they have it. Because they wanted it. Because everyone is carrying one of these. A tab left open for a flat you will never rent. A person, a place, a life you look at and do not touch. We assume the wanting points at the thing. That if we could just get it, the wanting would be satisfied and go quiet. So here is the question this film will follow. Whether wanting something and having something are the same event at two ends. Or whether they are two different machines that were never wired together. Because if they are two machines, then getting what we want would not end the wanting. It would only move it. And we would spend a life feeding a thing that cannot be fed. Start where the wanting is made. In the 1990s, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz put fine electrodes near a handful of cells in the brain and listened to them fire. These were dopamine cells. Everyone assumed they were pleasure cells. That they lit up at the reward. A drop of juice arrives, the cells fire, the animal is happy. Simple. They do fire at the juice. But only at first. Only while the juice is a surprise. Ring a bell before the juice, a few times over, and something moves. The cells go quiet at the juice. They fire at the bell instead. At the promise, not the thing. The reward had stopped being news. The signal ran ahead of it, to the first sign that the reward was coming. The firing was not pleasure. It was anticipation. And when the bell rang and the juice did not come, the cells did not simply go flat. They dropped below flat. The animal was not vaguely let down. Something in it had been counting, and came up short. A second laboratory, run by Kent Berridge, pulled the thing further apart. He found that wanting something and liking something are not one feeling. They are two systems, and they can be separated. Take the wanting away in a rat, and it will still enjoy sweetness on its tongue. The liking is intact. It simply will not cross the cage to get it. It no longer pursues what it still enjoys. Turn the wanting up, and it will chase things it does not even like. The pursuit and the pleasure come apart in the hand, like two cards that were stuck together. So the wanting is its own engine. It runs on the approach, on the nearly, on the sign that the thing is close. It was built to move us toward the reward. It was never built to sit with us once we arrive. Which explains the shop window. The guitar behind the glass is pure approach. It is all promise and no arrival. It is the bell that never becomes the juice. No wonder it stays bright. We are not looking at an object. We are standing inside the one part of the machine that was ever loud. There is a second thing going on, and it is about distance. In 1975, 3 researchers, Wirchel, Lee, and Adewale, ran an experiment with a jar of cookies. They gave people a cookie from a jar and asked how good it was. Same cookie, same recipe. The only thing they changed was the jar. One jar held 10 cookies. The other held 2. The cookie from the jar of 2 was rated better. Tastier, more desirable. The same cookie, worth more for being nearly gone. And there was a twist. If they watched the jar go from full to nearly empty while they looked, the effect was stronger still. It was not scarcity that moved people. It was scarcity arriving. The cookie did not change. Nothing about the cookie changed. What changed was how close it was to being unavailable. And that, apparently, is something we can taste. We think we are appraising the thing. Its qualities, its worth. We are not. We are reading the gap between us and it, and calling the gap a quality of the thing. The wider the gap, within reason, the more the thing seems to shine. Not because it is better. Because we cannot have it, and the cannot is doing the shining. This is the other half of the shop window. The glass is not in the way of the guitar. The glass is what makes the guitar worth visiting. Take the glass away and you take the distance away. Take the distance away and you have a guitar. A perfectly good guitar, standing in a room, worth exactly what a guitar is worth. Which is a great deal less than it was worth last night, behind glass, in the cold, at the end of a street. Nothing was stolen in the exchange. We simply bought the guitar and, in the same motion, sold the distance. And the distance was the part we loved. We do this with almost everything. And we are always surprised, in the same soft way, when the thing arrives and the shine has stayed behind on the shelf. There is one more piece, and it is about memory, and about why the thing we did not get will not leave us alone. In the 1920s, in a Vienna cafe, a young psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik noticed something about the waiters. The waiters could hold an enormous unpaid order in their heads. Every dish, every table, nothing written down. But the moment the bill was paid, the order vanished. Ask them minutes later and it was simply gone. She took it into the laboratory. She gave people small tasks, let them finish some, and interrupted others halfway. Later she asked what they remembered. The unfinished tasks were remembered far better than the finished ones. The mind held the open ones open. It let the closed ones go. It is called the Zeigarnik effect. A finished thing is filed and forgotten. An unfinished thing stays lit and keeps drawing a quiet current until it is closed. You have felt it as the task you forgot the instant you completed it, and the one you cannot stop turning over because you never did. A thing you cannot have is the most unfinished thing there is. It has no ending. The loop never closes, so the mind never files it, so it stays lit in the window night after night. The thing you got is finished. It is filed. It sits in the corner of the room, complete, and complete is only another word for forgotten. So the mind does something that looks like cruelty and is only bookkeeping. It keeps the open account bright and lets the settled one go dark. The person at the shop window is not being foolish. They are keeping an account open on purpose. Some part of them has learned that a paid bill is forgotten by morning. They would rather owe the guitar forever than own it by Tuesday. Now the turn, because so far this could still be a story about restraint. It is not. It is a story about what happens when we do get the thing, every time, without exception. The clearest look at this came from an unlikely place. In 1978, researchers found people who had recently won large sums on lotteries. The whole thing, delivered at once. They asked the winners how happy they were. And then they asked something cleverer. How much pleasure they took in ordinary things. A morning coffee. A conversation. An ordinary evening. The winners were not measurably happier than an ordinary group of people who had won nothing. And in the small pleasures, the coffee, the talk, the quiet evening, they took noticeably less. The big thing had arrived, and it had not lifted the floor. If anything, it had raised the bar so high that the small things could no longer reach it. There is a name for the machine underneath this. The hedonic treadmill. Whatever we get, we adjust to, and the ground we gain becomes the new ground we stand on and stop noticing. The rise is real. It is just never kept. We climb to the thing, stand on it for a week, and the week after it is simply the floor, and we are looking up again. This is not weakness of character. It is maintenance. A creature that stayed satisfied would stop moving, and nothing that stopped moving ever survived long enough to have descendants. So the wanting does not attach to the guitar and settle. It detaches the moment the guitar is yours, lifts off, and looks around the room for the next glass to stand behind. You have watched this in yourself. The parcel you could not wait for, opened, admired, and by the weekend indistinguishable from everything else you own. It is not that the thing was bad. It is that the thing was only ever a thing, and the shine was never in it. The shine was in the reaching, and the reaching is over the instant the hand closes. Which leaves us somewhere uncomfortable. The reliable way to end the wanting of a thing is to get it. And the wanting was the part that felt like being alive. We are not built to enjoy what we have. We are built to pursue what we do not. The enjoying is a brief formality we perform on the way to the next pursuit. And the things we cannot have are simply the ones we never finished pursuing. They keep their shine because we never got close enough to rub it off. So we can go back to the person at the shop window who has been standing there in the cold this whole time. One evening, they go in. Of course they do. The shop is warm, and the guitar is beautiful, and a life spent only wanting is its own kind of starvation. They carry it home. They play it, badly and happily, for a week. It leans in the corner of the room, and it is theirs, and it is wonderful. And then, without any decision being made, without anything going wrong, they stop picking it up. It becomes furniture. It becomes part of the wall. It is not that they were wrong to buy it. Nothing was wrong. The guitar did everything a guitar can do. It simply could not go on being unreachable, because now it had been reached. And some evening, months later, on a different street, they will slow down at a different window. A coat, a bicycle, a small brass instrument. It will not matter what. The window will be lit. The thing will be behind glass. And the old brightness will come back, exactly as strong, because it was never coming from the guitar. The brightness is a property of distance. It has no home in any object. It settles on whatever we place just out of reach, and lifts off the moment we close the gap. Which leaves the question the film opened with, and does not close it. Whether a person could ever learn to want the thing they already have. Or whether wanting and having, being two machines, will never once be in the same room. There is no instruction here. Only the recognition, which arrives late and helps very little, that the ache for what we cannot have is not a flaw in the wanting. It is the whole of what wanting is. The person walks on. Somewhere behind them a guitar leans in a corner, forgiven, forgotten, and completely theirs. And ahead of them, at the end of the road, another window is lit. We have all walked toward it. We are walking toward it now.